Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday morning. We didn't get too much snow last night. We did get a little bit more. I wanted to be... God, there were birds out under the lilacs, little birds under the lilacs hopping around, and I go get my phone and I come back and the birds are gone. Oh well. I just wanted to show everyone, but there's no church today. Church has been canceled due to the weather, and you guys are really tearing up my door jamb. Just look at that. God. Well, you do have pretty shredded scratching posts. I need to get a better scratching post for them. Oh, yes, and down there's a pile of branches. Big pile of branches down there, because I went and did some massive pruning job on this tree. If I can't get rid of it and nobody will take it off my hands, yeah, we've got to, I'm probably going to prune it back even more. But at least now it's not taking up the entire room and you don't have to duck to walk around it to get to the front door. And I was able to push it back towards the wall a little more. But yeah, after trying to move it out and having branches knocking one of my storm candles off the top of the bench there and causing it to shatter, yeah. It got a massive pruning job. More deep watering. It actually is looking pretty good. We got some new leaf growth there. Yeah. It's putting out some new leaves. Got new leaves coming out there too. See, new leaf growth. Nice bright green growth. So yeah, nobody wants my ficus, so I had to massively prune it, and I may even chop it back even more to try to reduce its size overall. I wish I could have found it a home with a bigger room, but this is the best room for it. You know, my oversized houseplant. And I'm going to get this one into a different pot. This pot is literally just the wrong size for this little tree, which I am going to try to keep little as long as possible because it can never go outside. It's one of those tropical evergreens that grow on islands out in the middle of the ocean somewhere where it's always warm. It cannot manage temperatures below 40 degrees in its native climate, so it can never go outside, yet it's one of these evergreen trees that will literally grow to be 25 feet tall. So I've had it for a number of years now. It's very slow growing. I'm not going to put it in a bigger pot, but I am going to kind of get it into a pot that's more wider. I'm going to try wide and shallow. Try to keep it like a bonsai. Maybe it won't get quite so big. This one should have been kept in a small pot too. If it had been kept in a small pot, it would have remained a small tree. Ficus trees will grow to how big, but my mom put it in a big pot, and then she gave it to me when it got too big in her house. And it should have just been kept in a small shallow pot maybe the same width, but about half the depth. And it probably wouldn't have gotten quite so big. Because ficus trees actually make great bonsai plants. Oh well. Either that or I need a bigger house. But the birds disappeared. It was so cute seeing all the little birds just bouncing around the base of the lilacs there looking for seeds and stuff. And the weather's calmed down and we haven't gotten all that much snow. So I will be back in a bit. We're gonna do a few things today. First thing is me taking a shower. So happy Sunday morning, and hope y'all are having a great weekend. Well, I've been doing some painting in the bathroom, and it's already looking better just with the first coat. The nail holes aren't quite as, well, the heads of the finished nails aren't quite as apparent. I am waiting for the first coat to dry, and then we will do the second coat. And yes, I had to take the lid off the tank so I could get behind there as close as I could. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I don't know why you can't see the lines in that beadboard. Oh. Anyways, we're getting this done. It's Lily, I don't want you getting paint on you, dear. I hope that's dry enough. It's not going to get on you. Yeah, boy. Yeah, I got stuff sitting all over so I can paint around it. Had to move things. Even that seam, if I get up close, you can still see it kind of, but yeah, it's looking less apparent. And a couple more coats of paint should do it for this board. Yeah, it'll look pretty good. You can't even see the seam that runs behind the toilet. It looks like it was all cut out of one board. Okay, anyways, hello. Oh, we'll get together. I'm wearing my old clothes right now. Yeah, gotta wear my old clothes. I got paint on this when I was painting my house last summer. And so yeah, get out your old clothes that already have paint on them to paint in your bathroom. But that's what we're getting done right now. I'll talk to y'all later. Well, good evening, everyone. It's been a very busy day. I was going to try to get this done earlier in the day, but I had my errands to run in town. I finally, after I got about third coat of paint on in my bathroom, I went and ran into town. So even with 2 more inches of snow in my driveway, I was able to get out onto the road. Roads are pretty messy. It's still snowing off and on throughout the whole day. It was snowing in town when I left. I had an extra errand besides getting cat litter and a couple of items that I hadn't been able to get. My mother's faucet broke on her bathroom sink. Her bathroom sink faucet broke, and so I had to go looking for a faucet. I did find one for her that she thought looked good, and it was over at the local Ace Hardware. They had one. And while I was at her house, I shoveled her driveway. So while I was intending to get home so I could get this little interview done quickly, and well, I didn't get home quite as early as I wanted to. Spending time, and then one of her neighbors across the street came over to help. The lady, I was talking to her, she lives across the street from my mother, and her husband actually works for the county, and he runs snowplows. He's actually been working since 3 p.m. yesterday, and he still has not had a chance to get to bed yet. But he came over up and down that road with he's got one of these little red tractors. I'm trying to think. It's not a Kubota. I think it's a Mahindra tractor, one of the little tiny ones. And he is literally clearing the road. Somebody had kind of sort of cleared one lane in those 2 little streets, and he was literally clearing the entire streets, and mostly so his family can get out safely, but also so the rest, everybody else. And I talked to his wife, and you know, while I was out there shoveling, and she came over and helped me shovel some, and I told her, yeah, if you could get this ridge of snow that's between my mom's driveway and the street pushed off further up the road and into her yard, that would be awesome. So we were busy. We were just real busy, and I was heading out of town, and I remember the one exact thing I had actually gone into town to get and forgot was cat litter. So I stopped at the last little grocery store, the Ridley's there, and found cat litter and got a little box. It did not very much, but I got 2 litter boxes to clean, and this will be just enough for 2 litter boxes. I will worry later on about getting the big multi-cat pack that has actually 4 bags in it later. And got everything unloaded, got the cats fed. Sun's going down now. I did take a little clip of the sunset peeking through the clouds, and I'll tag that on to the end of this video. So if you just stay tuned and watch through to the end, you'll be able to see that. But I did get a few things done. My kitchen sets are pretty much ready to go. I still got a few more I need to iron and prep. Didn't get to that. Spent the afternoon painting in the bathroom. I actually used a paintbrush to paint because it was so much easier. I used a medium-sized one for the first 2 coats, and then I used my large paintbrush for the 3rd coat, and it went on so much faster. I should have just started with the large paintbrush the first time. But it is looking so much better in that bathroom now with the paint on the beadboard, and now I just need to get some trim to put along the top. One of the stores I did find some pine trim that it's properly cut so it will fit over the top of the beadboard. I'll just have to save up my money, and next time I get up to Idaho Falls I can buy the appropriate footage to go around the top of the beadboard, and then I can paint that too. I think I've got a high gloss paint that will be just perfect for the trim. I also need to really see about cleaning up the molding around the doors and get that done. But next step on the bathroom work, besides trim, is now getting the floors sanded and getting them refinished. And once that is done, then I can start moving all my bathroom stuff back into the bathroom, and it will be so nice because it won't be completely finished. I still want to redo the entire area around the tub and the shower, but at least being able to get my linens and towels and the things that belong in the bathroom back in the bathroom will be so nice to have that just that much closer to getting my bathroom finished. So got that done. And yeah, I was thinking earlier today about my kitchen towels and how I got started on selling the kitchen towels with crocheted toppers on Etsy. And I really got the idea after my mother gave me a couple of kitchen towels, and they were nice. And the first ones I sold years ago were patterned after that. But the first actual kitchen towel for hanging on a kitchen door or something was actually given to me by one of my elderly neighbors, probably, I would like to say maybe 15 years ago. And I remember the day I was outside working in my yard, and her daughter, one thing we do in my church is the ladies, they go and visit each other. We would have a companion assigned to us, and we'd have a set of ladies that we would go and visit on a regular monthly basis, and she was my visiting teacher back then. And she was the sweetest person, one of the sweetest people that we had there at church. And she passed away a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I think. I think it was a couple of years ago she passed away. She was well into her 90s by then. But she would crochet, and she crocheted a couple of things, and one of them was basically a washcloth with a crocheted topper, not a kitchen towel. I've got it here with me. It's getting a little ratty and it's a little stained. I've been thinking about trying to soak it in, it's gotten a little yellow stains, in OxyClean and seeing if that would help. But yeah, she crocheted this, and it has a nice big button on it, and you just kind of push it through the stitching because it's done with a double crochet, and you can hang this up anywhere you need something to wipe your hands on. And as you can tell, I've well used it. It's just one of the things she made for me. And another thing she did was she used these. This one is getting well worn and stained too, but this is actually that shelf liner stuff, and then she crocheted around the edges. And I never really used it much until after I had my mastectomy. And after I had my mastectomy and my surgeries, and I found I had no upper body strength for opening tight lids on a bottle, but I found if I put this thing over the top of a lid, I could actually grip it enough to be able to open tight lids. And it really came in useful when I was recovering from surgeries and didn't have much muscle muscle tone, or my muscles after my breast reconstruction surgery. My muscles were literally just rearranged. I couldn't lift my arms very high, and that came in so handy. I have from time to time made my own and sold them with with kitchen sets every now and then. Some people like them, some people don't find any use for them, but for me, you can never have too many of these. This is still my go-to for whenever I need to open a tight lid off a bottle or a jar. It works like amazingly well. Just a little piece of shelf liner that she crocheted an edging around. And she gave those to me, and we had a great visit standing out there in my yard admiring my flowers. She loved the garden. At that time she was getting to the point to where she was walking in a cane, and it wasn't more than a few years after that she was in a wheelchair, but she still made lovely items for people, and she was very generous and giving. And I sometimes really miss seeing her around. The family has since sold the property, her house, and the acreage that went with her property, and the people who live there are nice. You know, they've got horses, and they've actually, the area where the old milk barn used to be, it had collapsed about 10 years ago. It collapsed in a storm. It was that old. They cleared away all the rubble and everything, and they built a really nice little horse barn there for their horses, and they got horses out there. And so, you know, there's somebody who's now living in that home, and who loves that 80-plus-year-old home, because I believe that home was built probably even before my house was built. So it's probably even older than my house, and my house is 83, going on 84 years old. So, yeah, that I got started there. And then the way I changed reason I changed my pattern, because I did simple toppers like that on the kitchen towels. I would put in a white border around the edge, you know, because it just looked good. It looked good with a white border around the edge, and those sold well. But then, a few years ago, I would say maybe 6 or 7 years ago, a neighbor of mine, you know, a friend I know, her mother-in-law passed away, her husband's mother, and they gave me all her yarn. It was in big black garbage bags. There was a lot of it. Amongst those, all the yarn they gave me were some projects she had been working on. She had a whole bunch of kitchen towels, and she had actually was crocheting toppers, and she had finished maybe one or two completely. And she was using a pattern. The pattern was a very old pattern. It was literally the old Xerox pattern. So it was hard to see, but I liked the way that pattern was done. I liked the way it had a scalloped edging, and you know, and I thought, you know what, I could do this type of edging. But I saw the finished ones, and I saw the unfinished ones she had started, and you know, I thought, you know, Christmas is coming up in a couple of months, because this was in the fall, and so I went and finished all those towels with that pattern that she had used on all those kitchen towels, and I really liked the way it turned out. It was so much better than what I had been doing before. So what I decided to do then was to change my pattern to the current and incorporate some of the elements from that old pattern into the way I did my kitchen towels and the crocheted toppers on them. And so that's how I do my kitchen towels now, is with that incorporated. But what I did was I finished all those kitchen towels. I got all the toppers on them. I got them all edged. I mean, it was all in a bag with the yarn and everything. She had a complete bag. It was all in one of these old hospital bags, you know, that you put your clothes in, snap the top. It was just full. It had all the yarn, it had the towels, it had the pattern. So I finished them all off. I gave them back to my friend, and I said, I know your mother-in-law had been working on these kitchen towels at one point in time, and she never got them finished. Well, I finished them, and I thought maybe you would like to give them to family members as her last Christmas gift to the family. And they were so appreciative. And I have done that from time to time when I've been given yarn and I've found projects that were half finished or nearly finished. I would finish them, and then I would give them back to the family. And those people were like so appreciative that they were actually getting something. You know, it's just a memory of their grandmother, you know, their aunt, whoever, the family member who had been making these projects, to get completed projects back that they had never had a chance to complete. I started that years ago with a good friend of mine, and after her mother passed, she gave me all her mother's yarn because she says, I don't knit or crochet, so you might as well have this. And I found several half-finished Afghans that her mother had started, and one of them was actually almost completely finished, so I finished that one, and that gave me a pattern for the rest of them, to finish the rest of them. And there turned out to be 3 Afghans, and so she kept one for herself, and I believe she gave the other 2, one to each of her brothers. So they all had an Afghan that was made by her mother that I just finished. And since then, every time somebody gives me yarn, if there are projects in there and I think I can finish this project and give it back to the family, I do that. It's just seems to be the right thing to do. So that's how I came up with the pattern that I currently use for my kitchen towels when I crochet the towel toppers on them. I've got Easter towels now in stock, and so some of them are, I still have a few towels left to prep, but it won't take me long to prep a towel. It actually, I could probably do a single set in an evening if I got an order in and I hadn't quite finished that set. You know, it won't take me long to finish it. I might be tired, I might be a little cranky and tossing my cat off my lap, but I will get it finished and shipped off the next day. Even though I do have my shipping for 3 to 5 days, because most of my stuff is already done, finished, and ready to go. So, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Stay tuned and keep watching and enjoy the lovely sunset we had tonight. And I will see you all on the next video. Good night.